I'm not gonna do a react content yet, chat.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you're gonna have to bear with me for this video because I'm genuinely in disbelief. 4 days ago, iDubbbz announced that he would be bringing back the Content Cop series. Now, a lot of people were particularly confused about this because iDubbbz had made a whole stink about how he didn't like the Content Cops, how he changed, and he was disavowing them.
I feel like a lot of this content represents me as a person, at least not anymore. There was a time where it probably perfectly represented me because I was a nasty, apathetic, insecure person. Now that I don't feel like it represents me and I want to distance myself from it.
So, you know, people were pretty confused at why he was walking this back. A lot of people were speculating who it could be about, you know, could it be about Asmongold? Could it be about H3H3? And, you know, the people saying that, is it about Ethan Klein, got shut down pretty quickly because Anissa and iDubbbz had already briefly spoke about H3H3 and been bombarded with hate over their take.
Being harassed, videos made about us, people weighing in.
People still make videos about us. And at the time, before like we got help, before we went to therapy, like, yes, there was this attitude of like, why the fuck aren't people saying things? Why the fuck is no one like saying how wrong this is? Like, of course we had anger about that. But like, we had to, now that we've gone to therapy and we've worked through all these things, like, one, the videos have not stopped, right? The comments about us have not stopped. What has stopped is me caring about it.
So, you know, a lot of people immediately shut down the idea of this Content Cop being on Ethan Klein. I mean, hell, everyone was making predictions. I made like a bingo sheet, which, you know, some of this did come true, but I didn't think what would come true was the H3H3 thing. Because by now, you probably realized that, yes, this Content Cop, iDubbbz's Content Cop back, is about H3H3 Ethan Klein. But before we get into the Content Cop and, you know, let's say the quality of it, Ethan found out on stream that the Content Cop was about him.
It's about you.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Oh my god. That is the... No, it can't be.
Well...
It actually can't be. Holy fuck, dude.
It sure is.
Oh my god.
And honestly, I think that was the majority of people's reactions. I mean, I genuinely didn't think that the Content Cop would be on Ethan, especially after iDubbbz and Anissa were saying this on their podcast.
To talk privately. Basically, it just seems like we're at a bit of an impasse. So we want to stay out of the drama as much as possible. We don't want to pile on and add to anything. So this is our, you know, lukewarm addressing of it.
Well, the only question I've got there was he making the Content Cop while saying that? Was he already thinking about doing a H3H3 Content Cop whilst doing that? Because if so, he's snaky regardless, but that's just a different level. But I can hear you all screaming, Samuel, 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 is this Content Cop any good? Well, I'm going to read out who Ian thanks in the description of this video, and you tell me. Hasan, Denims, Sean DeBlack, Frogan, Kirk, Noah Sampson, and Matt. So, you know, a great quality piece of content. I mean, to be fair to iDubbbz, I will give him his prompts, right? He even got Frogan moving and getting in her daily exercise.
I'm not gonna do a react content yet, chat.
But we're 3 minutes in the video. Without further ado, let's actually get into this Content Cop and, you know, let's pick it apart a little bit.
And it's all culminated, at least for my story, in Ethan burning bridges with people until he burned the bridge with me. Since Ethan and Hasan's falling out, I've been keeping to myself mostly. I don't have many nice things to say. Maybe if Ethan's able to get some help, maybe if he stops harassing other creators, maybe if he does these things, eventually he'll find peace and we can like rekindle our friendship.
I've got to genuinely ask, right? Do you think rekindling a friendship is possible after dropping an hour-long video on them? And especially when you add on to the layer that you said yourself in your podcast that, you know, you were going to kind of stay out of this, right? This was the only thing you were going to say, and then you drop a Content Cop on him. Maybe, I'm just going to say it, I don't think H3H3 is going to be too, you know, opening to rekindling a friendship.
So that's been my approach. I've occasionally thrown a joke Ethan's way in the form of Hasan Piker versus Ethan Klein for boxing.
I like iDubbbz. He's a good guy, but I don't like this stupid. It's not a fucking petty beef. It's like this guy is evil and he's doing anti-Semitism. And also he's way out of my weight class.
He didn't like that, but fucking sometimes you gotta just throw something out there.
Again, another genuine question. Why does iDubbbz have to be the one to throw something out there? Why has he injected himself into the situation? And why is he dancing around with Hasan, Frogan, and all these other people? Why has he done that? Also, by the way, right, if you are genuinely interested in watching this content cop, go for it, but I would say that this is content cop in name and name only, right? It has like a little bit of an intro, which is, you know, definitely content cop-ish, and the rest is just a, you know, an up-to-date iDubbbz video where he kind of just sits there, reacts a little bit, sits there, reacts a little bit, and, you know, that's about it, really. Also, one thing I will say about this content crap is that iDubbbz clearly just isn't passionate. He's kind of sitting there going through the motion, but he's just not there. There's nothing behind the eyes, right? And I'm not being one of those guys, right, that's saying, like, Anisa's chained him up and made him do this, right? Because I'm 100% convinced this is all iDubbbz, right? This is all iDubbbz's decision. This is what he wants to do. But there's just no passion there. It just simply seems like he does not give a shit. There was also a really interesting thing I noticed towards the end of the video that he said about Content Cop, which I really want to dissect.
In bringing back Content Cop is to be fair. I think that was something that was not illustrated in previous Content Cops that I think should have been, and probably wouldn't have left me with so much regret.
But I mean, that was never the point of the Content Cop series in the first place. It was to go after people that were genuinely reprehensible people that, you know, deserved to be called out. People that really hadn't been called out or hadn't been called out enough to that kind of extent and needed to. It wasn't like a fair shake, right? You're not trying to give a fair shake to someone like Rice Gum or Leafy. The whole idea of, genuinely from an audience perspective, if you go in there to make a few jokes, you make your critiques about somebody that is genuinely disgusting, and then you leave. I don't really think that H3H3 is anywhere near that level of some of the people that iDubbbz has covered in the past under the Content Cop name.
Ethan deserves all of the criticism that he's getting. I think it's very valid.
All of it, iDubbbz? Really? Are we saying that all of the criticism that H3H3 has been receiving over the past year, few months, or whatever, is deserved?
But I also think, at the end of the day, we should acknowledge that he's human, because he is human. And he is in a situation that's making him extremely scared, paranoid, defensive, sensitive, and I'm sure other features and feelings. In the spirit of Kirk saying that it looks like Ethan could just use a hug, I have challenged some of his most powerful haters to put down the haterade and just say something nice and charitable about him, because I think he deserves it.
I used to be a good friend of yours, right? We were very good friends, right? I've said no more Content Cops. I'm going to stay out of this, right? I know I messed up on the podcast and I said something, but I'm going to stay out of this. But now I'm going to drop a Content Cop on you for an hour, shit all over you. It's like all the criticism is, you know, pretty much valid. Then I'm going to get your biggest haters to, you know, maybe be a bit satirical, maybe, you know, try and nitpick some things that are, you know, good about you, and then put it in a video. That's what I'm going to do. I genuinely want to know the thought process that iDubbbz had, if he had any here, right? Because surely when he's making news comments on the podcast, right, you're kind of testing the waters there. And then he's seeing he's getting all this backlash, right? Nobody's agreeing with him. He's getting absolutely shat on. Him and Anisa are getting, you know, destroyed about it. Surely at that point you might go, okay, maybe this Content Cop isn't the best idea, and, you know, learn from your mistakes. Kind of, you know, if you want to bring the Content Cop series, you know, bring it back. Maybe not with H3H3. There was also like a bit as well towards the end in that segment, which just made me burst out laughing, that I have to share here.
You know, I also see the dynamic of Ethan and Neil. I'm like, fuck, like, it's really hard to be, a couple online and see people attacking your partner, and it's like, okay, like, if you come to their defense, that doesn't always help them. Right? Sometimes that makes it worse for them.
There is genuinely a few things here, right? Because if these are genuine tears, this is a genuine segment, right, that he feels for H3, and, you know, he gets it, right? It's a relatable thing for him. Why have you just made a huge Content Cop on him? Like, and his wife? And then in the same vein, are we meant to feel sympathetic to you, that you're, like, genuinely this hurt by the hate that your partner's received, you're in tears about, you know, the hate that Anisa's received, and that you might have made that possibly worse by reacting to it? Are we meant to feel sympathy after an hour Content Cop on somebody who used to be your friend? Are we meant to feel sympathetic? Like, what was the point of including this? I wonder if he thought that by including this, it kind of made him, you know, seem more like a well-rounded individual, right? Somebody who genuinely cares, somebody who's sympathetic, somebody who's been in H3's shoes before. Maybe that's what he was trying to go for, but it just does not work. I think what's more unfortunate about all of this as well is, like, immediately as this Content Cop drops, right, Hasan gets on stream, right, to start immediately reacting to it. You've got H3, who was already just on stream anyways, who's found out on stream that this Content Cop's about him, and, you know, you've got to see the fallout of that.
The thing is, like, he just went on an apology tour being like, all of the Content Cops I made were mean-spirited and bad, and I'm taking down all of them, even the ones about Rice Gum and Leafy, but he's like, no, actually, Ethan, the fucking Jew bag,
what if this one isn't mean?
I think that's what makes it just even worse, right? Is that he's already gone on this apology tour about his previous content cops, and then he's, unlisted them, removed them, to then drop another content cop on one of his friends. It just looks awful on him. I just genuinely don't know what he was thinking.
I don't know.
It's impossible looking at who he's thinking.
Right, yeah.
It's impossible. Oh my god, dude. This is beyond fucking unreal. This is unreal, man. The thing is, like, everybody in my fan base already knows everything that these people are going to say. So, like, it's not going to affect me. It's just for him to get, like, kudos off the back of these psychopaths.
Genuinely, like, iDubbbz has, like, forcefully injected himself even further into the situation than he already was unnecessarily. There was no point in him making this content cop, and it reflects badly on him. Majority of people on Twitter, in the comments, are mocking him, not mocking H3, which is never a good sign. One thing I will give iDubbbz, right, and going back to my bingo sheet, is that he did mention Asmongold, which I really appreciate.
Comment etiquette. Oh shit, Asmongold's in here? Asmongold follows Frogan? No, Asmon! That means you're anti-Ethan. That's fucked up.
Huge appreciations for all the wrong reasons for including Asmon there. I did see a tweet from fellow commentary YouTuber Willie Mag Show, who said that, even if this is bad, right, every time Ian uploads like a content cop video, it's always some big event, which I would agree with, right, even though I knew that this was probably most likely going to be absolutely shit when he said that he was going to be bringing back content cop. I was intrigued, lots of people were intrigued, lots of people were talking about it. But I think this reply kind of sums up what this actual quote-unquote event was like. Nah, this was like watching Mike Tyson get back in the ring. Yeah, it's interesting, but it's mainly sad. iDubbbz should have just genuinely hung up his cap, hung up his police jacket, and just left it there. This content cop is a shining example of why people hate on iDubbbz, give critiques to him. It's not because of just Anissa or, he's apologized for saying the N-word. It's because of stuff like this. He's siding with truly detestable people, absolutely like bottom-of-the-barrel scumbags. He's actively attacking his once good friend when he said he was going to stay out of it, he was going to stay to the side, and he's been a complete and utter hypocrite on top of all of that.
A cloudy day here in California, Los Angeles. We're live and alive, and I hope all the boys, girls, and MBs.
It's a cloudy day in Los Angeles.
That's my line.
Wait.
I'm a fantastic one because
wait, is this live?
By the way, Hasan literally goes and talks about how I'm obsessed with him and I can't talk about him, and I can't stop talking about him, and this is what he's working on in the while he's complaining about that. I can't believe it, man. It's stunning stuff. It really is.
To sum up Ian's content cop on Ethan, a lot of it is just personal issues that he has with H3, lots of personal grudges that he wants to put into a video. It's him ranting about it, parenting other people, getting H3H3's worst, haters involved, these detestable, disgusting people, and then, calling it a day and finishing a rush job.
Bringing back content cop is to be fair. I think that was something that was not illustrated in previous content cops that I think should have been, and probably wouldn't have left me with so much regret.
And that's exactly why you're thanking all of these people on screen. You got them all involved in this video, all the people that just genuinely despise H3 and, are disgusting individuals. Because, you want to be fair. Now, I'm going to end this video off with a take from Asmongold reacting to my tweet about the Fortnite dance with Frogan. The first time I've ever agreed with Asmongold.
Why is he doing a Fortnite? Wait, what is... Wait, what? I don't even know if this is real, honestly. I have no idea.
Trust me, Asmon, you're not the only one. When I was watching the content cop and I saw that, I didn't believe it was real. When I thought, I'd maybe passed out, I was asleep or something, and I was dreaming, and that none of this was real. But everybody watching, what was your thoughts on this absolute dog shit? Like, I'm not even remaining unbiased here. It was just genuinely awful. But please feel free to share your opinions down below. What you thought of this, what you thought of the reaction to all of this. Please feel free to comment down below. And whilst you're down there, you might as well consider subscribing and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a future upload. But now, finally, I'm going to end this video, and I'm going to just, replay the clip of iDubbbz crying, because why not?
I also see the dynamic of Ethan and Neil. I'm like, fuck, it's really hard to be a couple online and see people attacking your partner, and it's like, okay, like if you come to their defense, if that doesn't always help them, right? Sometimes that makes it worse for them.